In Georgia, a convicted child molester is given life with no parole is released from prison on a technicality and will be a free man soon. In Maryland, a woman is shocked after her ex-boyfriend is arrested after the murdering of her mother 23 years ago. And Russia opens up a terror probe after attacks on churches leading to multiple deaths. These stories and more coming at you today, Wednesday, June 26th on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton. And it's
Hump Day
again.
It is Hump Day.
And hot AF.
Yeah, still.
Right? Still hot.
I'm ready for October.
Yeah, right.
Football, harder football season.
Yeah.
And I miss football.
It's all coming. It's only 2 months away.
Yeah, seems like a lifetime.
Yeah, I know. It will be a lifetime of hot ass weather.
It's my favorite time of the year.
And we're not going to say the H word, but it's that season.
Yes.
And God,
maybe we'll dodge those bullets again. Right? We've been fortunate the last few years.
Very, very super fortunate, and super fortunate to be here in America, where we can talk about whatever we want to talk about. And let's get down to some true crime time for Wednesday.
We're going to start off in the state of Georgia. All right, so last week, Justin Ross Harris was actually freed from Macon State Prison. He had been serving a 10-year sentence for sex crimes against a child. His sentence began in December of 2016. Now, following his release, Harris was transferred to Cobb County Jail, where he could serve the last 2 years of that sentence. On June 18th of 2014, Harris's 22-month-old son Cooper died of hypothermia after spending 7 hours buckled in his rear-facing car seat in the back of an SUV parked outside his father's place of business. His work, he actually worked at the Home Depot corporate office. Wow. So usually here it's a hot car. In this case, it was apparently a cold car. Yeah. He had taken Cooper to breakfast that morning and then neglected to drop the toddler off at his daycare, instead driving to his job. Hours later, Harris discovered his son's lifeless body in the back of that SUV. During the trial, prosecutors argued that Harris killed his son intentionally so he could be free to have sex with as many women as possible. Oh, God. They also claimed he exchanged sexual text messages with 6 different people, including a 16-year-old girl, on the day that his son died. Harris's defense team contended that Cooper's death was a tragic accident and that Harris did not intend to kill his young son. So, in November of 2016, Harris was convicted of his son's murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison, no parole, plus 32 years. However, that conviction got overturned in 2022 following a 6-3 ruling by the Supreme Court in Georgia, which found the majority of the evidence presented was needlessly cumulative and prejudicial and should have been excluded from trial. Inadmissible evidence can lead juries to a wrongful conviction of an innocent person. That from the defense attorney, Carlos Rodriguez. Now, Cobb County prosecutors announced in 2023 that Harris would not be retried in the murder case. Crucial motive evidence that was admitted at the first trial is no longer available to the state due to the majority decision of the Supreme Court. That from the Cobb County District Attorney's Office. Harris's ex-wife and mother to their son, Leanna Taylor, spoke out after his murder conviction, saying that he was a loving and proud father who simultaneously was a terrible husband. So she obviously was on his side saying, I don't think he intentionally murdered our child, but he wasn't the best husband. Yeah. He was obviously cheating on her or attempting to do it. This is to me, I rarely come across cases where you have a life in prison with no possibility of parole. It gets essentially bargained down off of a technicality, and they don't attempt to retry it.
Yeah, I think that they, like, whatever evidence they had that the Supreme Court said needed to be excluded. It's probably like this shit about the the sexting and all that when the kid was in the car. They were like, that's any jury's going to want to make somebody pay for that, take that out, and just try him on the fact that he left him in the car. And then it would have been a negligent homicide, just where such a reasonable person wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Right? Like leave your kid in the car.
Well, and he had obviously, in addition to that murder, he was serving a sentence for sex crimes with a juvenile. Right. And I saw a lot of people online were curious as to why he was just transferred to another prison and not released. Well, he has to serve out the rest of that 10-year sentence that he had for the other crime, for the sex crime. Yeah. And usually when they get transferred to jail, they're putting them in some kind of work release thing. They're trying to acclimate them back into society, I would assume.
Yeah, yeah. And it may have done it so he could be closer to his wife or whatever. That may have been part of them not retrying him or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But, I mean, he killed his kid.
Yeah.
That's the first one I've ever heard that was by hypothermia.
Yeah, I've never. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I haven't.
And it doesn't even have to be that cold. I mean, it could have been in the high 40s or something, and the kid just wasn't boned it up enough, and over several hours, when your body temperature drops below 70 or whatever it is, then you just fall asleep and die.
Yeah, and it's different than when you die of like heat exhaustion, in that you just get really tired, and you go to sleep.
Yeah, it doesn't. Doesn't make it suck any less, right?
Yeah, no.
The kid was
doesn't
needlessly murdered, and he's a sex offender and everything else. And guess what? He'll get out, and I'm sure he'll continue to be an asshole, and they'll get him on something else. So I don't know. You and I are both huge fans of history. Russia, who has more history than Russia, right? Go back, however many years. And I know what's going on with the war and all that shit now, but historically, Russia's just fucking some pretty tough people.
Yeah.
Like during World War II, when Germany invaded them, Hitler, broke the pact with them and invaded them and then went in. The Russians didn't even have enough rifles to give everybody. So they have one person that was assigned a rifle, the other person carried the bullets, and when the person with the rifle got killed, that person picked up the rifle and kept going on.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they turned the tide and did whatever. I'm not saying Russia's right and then the Cold War and all that shit. Nothing about that. They're just saying they have a long history.
They're tough people.
Tough people. And a long history of really a melting pot and of people. Now, let me tell you what happened. In Russia, gunmen opened fire on 2 synagogues and 2 Orthodox churches and a police post in Russia's North Caucasus region of Dagestan on Sunday. Now, the investigative committee of the Russian Federation opened a terrorism investigation in response to the armed attacks in Derbent and Makachakala, as a result of which police officers and civilians were killed and injured.
Wow.
Right? So Shamil Kadlev, chairman of the Public Monitoring Commission of Dagestan, said a 66-year-old priest was found with his throat slashed at an Orthodox church, right? And at least 2 police officers were also killed. And this, according to news agencies in Russia. And they quoted the Russian Interior Ministry as saying at least 6 people were wounded, right? And now, the Israel's Ministry of Foreign Affairs released a statement confirming that a combined attack in the 2 cities in Dagestan, I just told you about, and that's because the synagogues that were attacked,
sure,
right? The being of Jewish people. The synagogue in Derbent was set on fire and burned to the ground, and the local guards were killed. Now, the synagogue in Makachakala was attacked by gunfire, but there were no further details. And at the same time, churches were attacked in Makachakala, however you say it. It's Makhachakhala, and a priest was murdered in Durban. Now, as far as it's known, there were no worshipers in the synagogues at the time of the attack, and there are no known casualties from among the Jewish community. The Israeli embassy in Moscow is in contact with leaders of the Jewish community in the district, but videos circulated online showing the building set on fire and gunmen engaging in shootouts with the police.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody's got a camera. The Reuters, the news agency, citing unspecified reports, said one officer was killed when shots were fired at the synagogue in Durban, which is home to an ancient Jewish community in North Caucasus. Gunfire was also reportedly exchanged in an Orthodox church in the town that I can't remember what the synonym stands for, but it's a national organization, but it's UNESCO heritage site. But another shootout was reported at a police post in Makachala, about 75 miles to the north along the Caspian Sea and the main city in Dagestan, which is a mainly Muslim region.
Yes.
So they're killing them all.
That's what I was about to say.
Yeah. And that's in southern Russia, right?
Yep.
So the Sergei Melikov, who's Vladimir Putin's appointed head of Dagestan, said unknown persons in Durban and Makachala attempted to destabilize the social situation, right? Then at this time, no specific group has claimed the responsibility for it, but I mean, it's no such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah.
You're going to attack these synagogues and Orthodox churches and everything and at one time. It's got to be terror related.
Well, let me tell you, Dagestan and I know a little bit about it because I'm a big UFC fan, and a guy by the name of Khabib Nurmagomedov. Really? You like that? Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, so he was probably one of the best fighters in UFC history. Beat the shit out of Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
But he was from Dagestan.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you want to talk about a tough region of the world? You'll learn how to fight real quick, and you'll learn how to survive real quick. But he was Muslim, and a stout Muslim. He did not drink. Right. He did, just Khabib was no joke. And I'm gonna tell you, tough people over there, and whoever did that better be the hell out of there now, because they will pull their toenails out one by one.
You're not
they
getting
get a hold
any
to them.
American
there ain't no court
rights, shit like that. Not
man.
But you know what I mean.
I was surprised that you said they had a synagogue in that area. I was
so they
actually
have a lot
surprised.
People think about Russia and it's all this way running. They have a shit ton of different religions. Yeah. And a lot of them get persecuted by the other ones that are there, but that's everywhere in the world. But the large Jewish communities.
Where's the dude from Rocky V when you need him?
Yeah, right.
I would break you. Yeah. You would lose.
That's it.
Yeah. So hearts go out to the
craziness in the world, bro.
People in that area dealing with that. Well, we're going to bring you back across this side of the world, and we're going to go to Maryland. And a Maryland family is reeling after DNA evidence has linked a woman's ex-boyfriend to her mother's murder 23 years ago. It's been one hell of a day. That from Lauren Preer, who is Leslie Preer's daughter. He was my ex-boyfriend. Preer said that she dated Eugene Gligor, now 44, when she was about 15 years old, and their families knew each other. So they were kids back then. Leslie Preer was found dead in her home in Montgomery County's affluent Chevy Chase neighborhood. It blew my mind when I read that, but apparently that's an affluent neighborhood in Montgomery County. And that was on May 2nd of 2001, after she didn't show up for work that day. This according to the Montgomery County Police Department. Now the police department has what they call a cold case department inside of it. And it's just these guys, and they just work cold cases. That's what they do. So blood evidence from the scene was submitted to a lab for genealogical DNA analysis earlier this month. And Gligor was identified as a match. Forensic genealogy helped get a name and DNA relation to whoever is linked to that victim. So Gligor was arrested by the U.S. Marshals Task Force in Washington, D.C., and has been charged with first-degree murder. Preer said she had never suspected him in her mom's murder, adding that she had run into him last year, actually spoke to him, and he didn't seem weird, and he wasn't acting like someone that killed my mother 23 years ago.
Because people are like that, but what does a killer look like?
Yeah, that's right.
You expect him to say, I'm nervous because I killed your mama.
Right. But nothing unusual about that meeting. And Gligor is currently awaiting extradition from Washington, D.C. to Maryland. Pretty crazy how this DNA, and especially this genealogic DNA, is really leading to solving a lot of these cold cases. This is 23 years ago.
Yeah, and we talked about like the Orthoran Labs, which is the leading one in that, in a lot of the stories. But, that dude walked away or got away with it for 23 years. It's 23 Christmases, 23 birthdays, 23 summers. And he just got away with it.
That's a long time to get away with something, man. Think about it, from the time you're born to the time you graduate college, basically.
Right. And
the length of time.
I just love cold cases, and I love when these assholes finally get got.
And with this DNA stuff that they have now, Woody, especially the familiar DNA, which they didn't used to have, they could tie your blood to a crime scene if it was your blood, but now they're able to do it with your father's blood and your cousin
that has it, and they track it down and track it backwards, which
pretty amazing.
That's an amazing discovery. I expect that DNA is going to continue to grow.
I would imagine.
And, I'm thinking in like 93, I think was the first court case, or 91, when they had to prove that DNA was a reliable source to be used, and then how it's advanced over years, which is just amazing. Shout out to them for getting his ass, right? And
that's right.
I hate I hate a thief, and I always say I hate a thief probably worse than a murderer, but not a cold case murder. Someone who gets away with it.
Yeah. Okay? This guy's been partying for 23 years.
Right, exactly. So, all right. You ever go to other cities and ride like the transit systems?
No.
Okay. So I've done it.
Not that I'm against it. I think all the cities I've been to just didn't have, or I wasn't there long enough.
I've done it, and
I'll say that.
Especially when I used to work all over the United States as a defense consultant, I would fly into the airports and take the Metro Transit. Like Chicago is a big one. I never rented a car in Chicago. Different place, New York City. And look, those things, if you're not from there, that's a real some bitch to learn how to use, right? And then the people are just hordes of people all the time. Washington, D.C. Yes, I use it.
I had a friend, we're considering going to Washington, me and my wife, and I had a friend tell me you can go from the airport to your hotel, all with the transit system.
And you can, and I have. And so I used to say rental cars were the bane of my existence for the other cities that didn't have the transit systems, because none of the rental car lots are on the airport base anymore. You got to park way the fuck 5 miles away and catch a bus back to the terminal after turning your shit in and all that. Yeah. So transit's a real deal, and I like them. But let me tell you, a lot of crime happens on transit, right? Mm-hmm. And authorities in Los Angeles, and most people don't think about Los Angeles as having metros, but the authorities in Los Angeles are searching for 3 suspects who shot and killed a man on a metro train on Friday night. Now, officials of the Los Angeles Police Department told Fox 11 News that around 7:40 p.m. on Friday, a man identified as Juan Garcia, 38 years old, was shot in the head and killed after getting into an argument with a group of men at the Metro E line stop at La Cienega, Cienega, I'm sure I butchered that, and Jefferson Boulevards. But police said Garcia was pronounced dead at the scene, and authorities told Fox 11 that all 3 suspects were males between the ages of 15 and 20 and took off before police arrived. Now, according to a GoFundMe set up by Garcia's family, Juan, a.k.a. Tony, was a father of 4 and the oldest sibling of 7, which is Huge, right?
Yeah.
And they said, it is with profound sadness that we share the news of the passing of our beloved Tony, who left us. My big bro was a protector growing up, strong like an ox. In our eyes, he was invincible. And as we navigate this difficult time, we are reaching out to our community to support, to give Tony G the dignified and heartfelt farewell he deserves. This is what the family wrote. Back in May, before this happened, the mayor and the Metro Board Chair, Karen Bass, called for an immediate surge of law enforcement personnel across the transit system. That was passed and everything. But in March, there were nearly 1 million weekday riders in the metro system, right?
That don't surprise me. Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been thinking like Chicago. I was riding, and I always sit in the back of the last car back to the glass. And it was a long ways in to the city. And you had different stops from the airports to where I was going. And I watched this group of teenagers come in, gang members, right, wearing the red, the Bloods, and they're coming in and they're going up to each person and say, "Hey, man, give us some money for our baseball team. Give us some money for it." And they were getting closer and closer to me. And when they got up to me and said, "Hey, man, give us some money for our baseball team," I said, "Hey, man, 30-year homicide detective." And they turned around and hauled ass. But yeah, I mean, that's like, we were talking about the parks last week and stuff. That's like, there's going to be certain areas that it can't be covered in all this train. Certainly they have transit police and they have cameras and whatever, but these bad guys know where those things are at.
Yeah.
And they shot this dude in the head and killed him for nothing.
Yeah. Horrible. Just a problem with that type of transportation. You got to know when to ride them, I guess.
My first cousins, who lives in New York City, her kids, now this has been several years back, when they came up to visit us one time, her kids had never ridden in a car.
Yeah.
They took the transit.
Yeah.
Everywhere they went.
A lot of people in New York City don't have vehicles.
Yeah, they don't. They didn't have them.
They either walk to where they're going.
And they came out in the country like this with these big-ass fields and the trucks when we ride and then side-by-sides and everything. Their eyes were like that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glace, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference God will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes, plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Yeah. Well, speaking of New York City, we're going to bring you to New York City.
New York City.
I'm going to tell you about a mobster.
About a mobster.
Man who died last week after he was decapitated when a truck plowed into him, a garbage truck to be exact, while he was crossing the New York City street. He was identified as a former captain for the Genovese crime family. Yeah. The New York Police Department said that the victim was identified as Antonio Conligliero. Conligliero, who was 86, went by Tony Cakes or Tony the Dessert Man.
Right.
I swear, Tony the Dessert Man. He was a former acting capo, which is a captain for the mafia family. He died when he was struck by a city Department of Transportation garbage truck in Brooklyn. He spent his life looking over his shoulder, but he forgot to look both ways before crossing the street, the police said. Wow, that's cold. Authorities said Conligliero was crossing the Dahlgreen Place against a don't walk sign in a marked crosswalk when a 31-year-old driver was turning on a green light and struck him. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver remained on the scene and no arrest had been made. Obviously, he was jaywalking. Conligliero, who worked for years in the wholesale cake business, sold sweets across the New York City area and ran an Italian ice and gelato stand in Little Italy. So, and look, those stands in New York, you can't just get those stands. You got to know somebody.
Somebody's getting paid.
Believe it or not, they make tons of money over there. He was accused by federal prosecutors in 2005 of being a soldier in the Genovese crime family, and he worked as a loan shark for the family. He eventually copped a guilty plea to a racketeering charge for which he received a 13-month sentence. The former foot soldier was also arrested in 2006 on a grand larceny case. Conligliero became successful in the dessert business after serving his prison time. He could make some cakes, I guess. Right. The Genovese family stands among the 5 families an Italian-American syndicate that has long dominated organized crime in New York City. The other members are the Gambino, Lucchese, Bonanno, and Colombo families, and decapitated him.
Cut his head off.
That's a hell of a way to go, man.
Absolutely. Hopefully it was instant and painless. But
it might have been, what do they call that? Something that he deserved. Maybe he decapitated somebody back in the day.
The karma.
Karma. That's what I was looking for.
But you're talking about those stands and stuff. You know the history of it, the crime families and everything, how they started out in bootleg and what have you. But they try to go legal as you can over the years to get away from the illegal stuff. But think about this. If I was going to launder money, there's basically 2 types of business I would do it in. Nightclubs. Why? Because every time somebody rang up a drink, I would ring up 10 drinks.
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
and there's a lot of cash business in a nightclub.
But I was saying, even you're making money off of dope or whatever, or extortion or prostitution, you take that money and you got a legitimate bar. You ring up 1 drink, ring up 10, and then you pay the tax on that. It makes it legal. Same thing like these food stands and shit. Nobody's sitting there watching how many people. You might service 300 people that day. Say you service 900. And you put your money in the till, you pay your taxes on, and it's good to go.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, just food for thought for all you budding criminals out there. Hey, you know what? We get so many stories, Jim, every day from lifers, and I'm going to take a minute on this one. This is for you and I. But like Leah Marie and Alex Petrie, and I don't want to leave anybody out. The people that legitimately send stuff every single day, which is awesome, and we appreciate it. But this one is from Leanna Bennett, who's from Salisbury, Missouri. She said, and I'll get into the story in a second. Just passing on the news for you. See link below. Thought it might be a good one, and I'll skip this part because it's about the story. So I thought this was newsworthy. I'll skip that part too. But on another note, I'm so thankful that you're on the Men. Woody, been praying for you, and I truly enjoyed listening to you and Jim. I laugh along with you, and also share your frustration and sadness on those difficult stories. I appreciate all that you do. I'm a lifer for sure. So, Leanna Bennett, we love you, and we love all of y'all out there. And y'all send your stories in. We'll cover them. And I'm about to cover this one now. Look, this is legit. In Macon County, Missouri, I'm pretty sure I've driven through there. In Macon County, Missouri, 5 men were taken into custody Monday morning in northeast Missouri after a teenage girl was reported missing from her home in Indiana. The suspects are accused of kidnapping the 14-year-old. The teen's father had last seen her getting in a black SUV and reported her missing to police in Indiana. Now, just before 2 a.m. on Monday, Missouri State Highway Patrol troopers were notified that the girl's cell phone was pinged going westbound on U.S. Highway 36. You would think these dumbasses would take her phone or turn it off. But a short time later, a Shelbina police sergeant saw a black SUV with Texas plates heading west. Just before 2:30 a.m., a trooper saw an SUV matching the description and initiated a traffic stop in Macon County. The trooper looked in the vehicle and saw a juvenile in the back. She identified herself as the missing teen. And with help from the Macon County Sheriff's Office and Macon Police Department, the trooper took the following men into custody. Marlon Aguilar, 44, from the country of Honduras. Arturo, I can't even say this dude. Iztacuro, 41, from the country of Mexico. Noah Guzman Hernandez, 24, from the country of Mexico. Danielle Ruiz Lopez, 19, from the country of Honduras. And Carlo Fuentes, 56, from the country of Honduras. Now, authorities believe they were taking the girl to California, where she was to meet with an unknown man that she met on the internet. All 5.
Sex trafficking.
Right, exactly. All 5 have been formally charged with 1 count of secondary kidnapping, which is a Class D felony, and first degree endangering the welfare of a child, which is a Class D felony. All right, a couple things. Shout out to those cops who were looking for it. Because, you can just sit on the side of the road at nighttime and scare people, but you don't leave your radar on, so it sets off radar detectors or whatever, but you could be asleep. A lot of cops do that, right? Yeah. Look, I tell you this one, it just popped in my head. I'm not going to say where it was, whatever, but I was working out of an apartment, and we got off at 6 o'clock in the morning, and one of the old timers, when it slowed down 4 o'clock in the morning, he'd go find a place to park his unit and go to sleep. Yeah. And it's just what it was. But you get off at 6 o'clock in the morning, we didn't have our own units at this place. You had to turn your unit back in and you go home. Well, at 6 o'clock, we're getting off. The boy's nowhere to be seen. And so they start calling him on the radio. He's nowhere to be found. Then it puts us in panic mode, and when it driving to locate him, he just passed the fuck out of his car.
Holy smokes.
He's dead now, so I'm not going to say his name. But he was just sleeping. But these guys were being proactive, and they were able to track her and ultimately stop her and save her. And so I want to say, this is what Leanna said about it. She said, I thought it might be a good one. Some vigilant law enforcement officers say the 14-year-old girl near me in Missouri, she was kidnapped by 5 illegal immigrants in Indiana. I thought this was newsworthy. I'm grateful for the officers who kept an an eye out for the vehicle and save this young lady from a lifetime of misery, as well as those working the case in Indiana. So I'm gonna say this too. Somebody left us a 1-star review on Apple the other day, which, you know, I don't give a fuck about that. But it said, no, I think it was a 5-star. It was a 5-star, but it was a negative review. And it said that we were saying that our borders are wide open, and that negates all the positive work that our Border Patrol agents are doing and ICE and all that. Let me tell you something, people. My father-in-law, who's now deceased, is a retired section chief for the whole southern part of Texas for the Border Patrol. Okay. Mm-hmm. I took the Border Patrol test. I was going to the Border Patrol, and that's a story for another day. I bleed blue, and I know those guys doing everything that they can do. Oh, and then they said the National Guard too. I know the National Guard is down there doing everything they can do. The problem is, you go ask any one of those, and they'll be the first ones to tell you they need more help, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
that's right.
It's the fentanyl shit, and I'm not getting off political shit. I'm just saying, I think we should fucking find the countries that was coming from and declare war on them, and go in and have no rules and no restrictions to go in there and kill every motherfucker that's making fentanyl. So,
well, fentanyl comes from China.
Yeah, well, it's still coming through.
I don't want to make war.
Whoever's carrying it, they ought to be executed. They ought to make them roll around with fentanyl. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me, related to your story you just told, let me tell you a personal story here. And I guess it'll be okay since my kids are above the age of 18 now. Right. But when my daughter was 15, one of my daughters, I have twin girls, my wife came to me one day and she says, there's a lot of phone numbers on our phone bill, on her cell phone bill, that I don't recognize. Right. They're from another city, another state. Mm-hmm. Huh. So we start monitoring this. We don't say anything at the time.
Right.
And it becomes more and more frequent. So we talk to my daughter, and she's talking to a quote unquote boy, right, in another state. And this boy was 18. This is what we're told. Mm-hmm. Now, that ain't okay either, but it gets way worse. Right. So, I do a lot of investigation on my own, and I know how to dig shit up. And eventually I find out that this is a grown ass man who is in his 40s, out of Chicago. Mm. And, I was going to go to Chicago, but I stopped myself from doing that, and I made a phone call to him.
Yeah.
And, he answered the phone. And he talked with a voice as deep as mine. And I let him know what was going to happen to him, and he hung up.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, this was a trafficker. Mm-hmm. And that's how they do this. Right. They make your kids think that they are young kids and meet them somewhere, and you never see them again. Right. And I thank God every day that my wife caught that when she did, because that guy was up to no good. Mm-hmm. So be very cognizant of that, and let your kids know that this is the game they play, because it happens every fucking day in this country. And every day.
I'm proud of y'all for catching that, because you're right. I mean, let's go back to what I talked about, bad pickup lines or whatever. The guy with the cameras, right? He only has to get lucky once. Right? Mm-hmm. It's like these telemarketers that call you every day, and they say, "Oh, can you confirm your Social Security number for us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can go fuck yourself." Yeah. Right? But if they try 1,000 people a day, and they get one that gives them money, then it's a success.
That's
These child traffickers, they're fishing, and they're catfishing, which is where you take on an assumed identity. You lie about your identity to get whatever. And that's what happened. This 14-year-old girl was going to go meet some dude she had online connection with in California, but 4 illegal immigrants show up to pick her up. They had her. So
scary.
Crazy.
Horrible.
Hey, y'all. Changing my wardrobe from summer to fall, it's never easy. Luckily, Quince offers timeless and high-quality items I adore. Ensure my wardrobe stays fresh and I don't blow my budget. And there's nothing easier than going to Quince and choosing these high-quality items, like cashmere sweaters from $50, pants for every occasion, washable silk tops, and so much more. The best part? All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. By partnering directly with top factories, Quince cuts out the cost of the middleman and passes the savings on to us. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices and premium fabrics and finishes, and I love that. I got the stainless steel Link Apple Watch band for $59.90. It's heavy duty, it's awesome, and it's like $100 less than I could find anywhere else. And I also got a 100% organic cotton fisherman quarter zip up sweater. The color is alabaster. Man, I can't wait to wear that this fall. And Cindy got the Mongolian cashmere boat neck sweater in heather gray. And I'm telling you, these are classic pieces at a fraction of the price. Make switching seasons a breeze with Quince's high-quality closet essentials. Go to quince.com/RLRC for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/RLRC to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/RLRC. You'll thank me later. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
All right. Well, we'll lighten it up a little bit here. And we're going to go to Washington, D.C. And look,
I love D.C.
Most presidents, and I would almost say, I don't know if it's all of them, but the vast majority have had dogs, pets, right?
The like the White House dog.
The White House mascot, so to speak. And President Biden is no different. He has a dog, and his dog's name was Commander. And I say was because he has a new dog, and we're going to tell you why. So some reports had come out recently that President Biden himself has witnessed multiple attacks by Commander on the Secret Service.
Huh?
The people protecting the president, the dog don't like him too much. He was kind of ferocious, supposedly. The bites were actually so vicious that several agents had to make trips to the ER. Multiple personnel shared that the attacks happened as Biden was walking the dog, with the president witnessing the incidents firsthand. One Secret Service member shared his encounter with Commander while Biden was taking his dog to the Kennedy Garden for an evening walk. He said, "As I started to walk toward him to see if he needed help, Commander ran through his legs and bit my left arm through the front of my jacket. I pulled my arm away and screamed, 'No.' POTUS also yelled to Commander. POTUS then said, 'Quit moving.' I obliged, and Commander let me pet him."
Yeah.
So when turning to close the door, Commander jumped again, bit my left arm for the second time. POTUS again yelled at Commander and attached the leash to him. My suit coat had 3 holes, one being all the way through. The chief of communications for the U.S. Secret Service said of another interaction with Commander. Yesterday around 8 p.m., a Secret Service Uniform Division police officer came in contact with a first family pet and was bitten. The officer was treated by medical personnel on the complex, and I'm not aware of any hospitalization. Believe it or not, all told, there are 24 separate reports of the German Shepherd.
Jeez,
it's a German
not a
Shepherd.
baby.
Yeah, it ain't a Dachshund. Although those can be vicious, but a German Shepherd biting and attacking personnel, being Commander. Commander's arrival at the White House came after Biden got rid of their prior dog, Major. Commander has now left the White House to live with other family members after the series of attacks.
Jeez Louise,
How about that?
That is bizarre.
Commander get buck wild. Look, and I'm all for protecting your owner. You know,
but you say that's 24 that are reported, and they have to be reported because they had to seek medical attention. And think about all the ones the Commander got after their ass. They ran or whatever.
Say Commander.
And most people don't know the Secret Service really. The presidential or vice president or whoever's running for whatever, that protection detail is like the creme de la creme. But the majority of the Secret Service is uniform patrol.
Yeah.
And they protect the White House and they protect what have you. But that's the Congress and stuff like that. But they wear uniforms and a badge and what have you. So they have both at the White House. And that's what you were saying. One of them was
Uniform Patrol Division. Yeah.
And so, but other thing, and I know you know this, but that Secret Service does that most people don't know.
What?
Counterfeiting.
I did know that.
I knew you knew that, but they are in charge. You out there and you print some counterfeit shit, Secret Service is coming for you.
Oh yeah.
On top of the presidential details and whatever.
They certainly specialize
VIPs and all that. Yeah.
You know, German Shepherds. And look, I had a great dog.
Yeah.
My German Shepherd I had when I was a kid was one of the best dogs I ever had. Yeah. But it would protect me in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, that dogs do what dogs do. Many, many years ago, I raised golden retrievers, and these 3 fingers right here, you can still see the scars.
Yeah.
A fucking golden retriever tied up with another dog, and I went in to separate them. They were fighting, like trying to kill each other. I went in to separate, and that motherfucker bit my 3 fingers off. I had to have them sewed back on. Now here I am with another finger I cut off the other day on slicing some brisket. But dogs got it in them.
And even little ones, man.
Yeah.
Look, my Dachshund.
My brother had a Chihuahua, was the meanest motherfucker you ever saw.
My Dachshund, if you ever do research on Dachshunds, they were actually raised to hunt badger.
Really?
That's how mean a Dachshund can be. They will go down a hole and tear a badger apart. So they got a lot of teeth.
Right.
And I play with mine all the time. She loves to play fetch and those sort of things. But a lot of times she'll like to get my hand in her mouth and she'll just not really bite it, but she's playing.
So
it'll mark me up, man.
Now, we raise English Springer Spaniels, and they're so human. They'll like sitting on my lap, and I'm not looking at it. It'll paw me till I look at it, or they'll do that play bite to get your attention.
Yeah, put just enough pressure.
Hey, Daddy, look at me.
Yeah,
and so interesting.
Yep.
I hadn't heard of that. That's crazy.
Dachshunds. That's why their bodies are so long.
Yeah.
So they can go down the holes to get the badger.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Crazy story about that. The dog running around the White House biting the fucking people.
Commander.
Can you
mess
imagine
with
having to
Commander.
fill out that report?
They all
POTUS,
hated that
y'all.
dog.
And for those of you who don't know, he said POTUS is the president
President of the United States. Yeah.
And for a long time,
Acronym.
I didn't know that until I was like watching like 24 or something. And they were like, "We got to protect POTUS." I'm like, "Who the fuck is POTUS?" But,
There you go. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, listening, sharing.
yes. And
Commenting.
if so inclined, go leave us a review on iTunes, and just appreciate y'all. And that's it.
Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman,
I'm Woody Overton.
your host of Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.